All right, that was a fun one. The Utah Jazz get a very nice close win against the Sacramento Kings. This is Hoops Nerd postgame show. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Kings first before we talk about the Jazz. We saw a lot of what the Kings did, and I think this game came down to a lot of different things. Utah had 24 turnovers. How many turnovers did the Kings have tonight? They come out with just 11 turnovers. They forced the Utah Jazz into 24, and the Utah Jazz still win this game. And it really comes down to, some simple things. Sacramento shot 26% from three in this one, and that was really the difference because Utah shot 40% from three. Utah took 35. The Kings took 38. So there's the show. Thanks for joining. Just kidding. But let's talk about a few things with the Kings. DeMar DeRozan was 6 for 15 from the field tonight. He's not a three-point threat. He did have 5 steals, 5 assists. He's an interesting addition to them, and I was kind of curious to watch them to end this game because I thought, well, we'll see how they close out, and they didn't close out. It's going to be interesting for the Kings to figure out what that hierarchy of players is because De'Aaron Fox, I don't think you look at De'Aaron Fox as just an elite level three-point shooter. Tonight, 2 for 9, and one of those was a half-court heave, and the other one was that last-second shot. But them having De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and DeMar DeRozan, Triple D, is that the nickname, Triple D? I don't know. There's not a lot of shooting on the floor with that, so that gets a little clunky. It makes you wonder, what are they going to look like? They really are relying on Keegan Murray to hit threes. They're going to need someone else to really be able to shoot the ball. So interesting kind of setup for the Kings. I mean, they're Triple D. When Keegan Murray shoots the three, we were talking about this on the live stream. It's Keegan for Threegan. That's all right. How many people left the show after that? I apologize. But Keegan Murray is a very good three-point shooter. He was 5 for 11 from three tonight. But he's kind of their only good three-point shooter. I don't know. The Kings might have a few issues. It's not, it's interesting. They are definitely going to be a bruising offensive team, but they might not be able to score enough with Keegan Murray. You replace DeMar DeRozan, basically Harrison Barnes for DeMar DeRozan, and that three-point shooting is gone. I don't know. Christian House Money was on you were on the playback tonight and the live stream, and you're on the postgame show. House Money is definitely MVP tonight. Absolutely. A heart or 100, I don't know. All right, so let's talk about the Utah Jazz. What a nice showing for Utah. Yes, they had 24 turnovers. And by the way, a lot of people might be like, oh, Key had that one bad turnover to end the game, but Key only ended up with 3. Lauri Markkanen, by my count, had 6. They were friendly to him. He had 6 turnovers tonight. The Sacramento Kings were attacking Markkanen as soon as he got the ball, and it's something to watch this season because that might be the word on the street. If Markkanen gets the ball in the post, attack him and take that ball away. 5 turnovers. I actually feel like it was 6, but he still had a good night shooting the 3, 40% from the field, and perfect from the free throw line. Really kept the Jazz in it for 21 points. But Markkanen was solid, but I think we really saw some of those limitations still, is that he is an off-ball player. But anyways, Markkanen, it's garbage night. Markkanen, 4 for 10 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, 21 points, and only 4 rebounds tonight. But that's what you need, is him to spread the floor. He was still a +3 in a Jazz 3-point win, so it was enough. Taylor Hendricks had an interesting night. He felt a little bit invisible offensively, and he is starting for this Jazz team. Where I think that he is very visible is defensively. This Jazz team, I don't know where we're going to stand defensively in terms of just as a league. Utah's probably going to be, 20 to 25 is my prediction, probably closer to 25. They were literally number 30 last year, last in the league. But they look a little better to me defensively. They are long. They are athletic. You have Taylor Hendricks on the floor, players like Cody Williams. Keonte George is pretty athletic. And, I think he gets a bad rap defensively. I think he was pretty solid. Look at tonight. Keonte George was a +10. Colin Sexton was a +14 in this one. So Utah has some athleticism and length on the defensive end. They're pretty big when you consider Walker Kessler at center, Taylor Hendricks at the 4, Markkanen at the 3. That is a big front court. And Utah was getting, they weren't getting steals tonight, but they were just playing pretty well defensively, and they're rebounding the ball. Nice to see. So we'll see how that develops. But Taylor Hendricks, his real impact is defensively. And he moves so well. He can guard anyone on the floor. And I think his future is maybe at the center spot. Although Walker Kessler needs to get a lot of praise tonight for how well he did. But Taylor Hendricks defensively is really nice. Where he kind of disappears a little bit is on the offensive end. Although, he takes 3 threes tonight and just 6 shots. There's little flashes of little things. We've seen him pass the ball pretty decently this preseason. Like some really nice kind of big-to-big passing that we've seen. We saw a really nice pass from Kessler out of the post, but I think we can definitely kind of expect some of that from Taylor Hendricks. And Hendricks can shoot the 3 from all over the floor. If he can just consistently knock that 3-point shot down, it becomes really nice. And the fact that they're able to move the ball around is a really nice sign for this team that really struggled passing the ball last season. This season, they're moving the ball better. Yes, they have 24 turnovers, and this is going to be an Achilles heel for this Jazz team because they're young. And that's what happens with young teams is they turn the ball over. So you're just going to see but it's kind of surprising to see Markkanen with 5 to 6 turnovers. Jordan Clarkson had 6 turnovers. It was not the young guys that were leading the way. Jordan Clarkson's 6 turnovers tonight was not great. House Money, 37 months. We're in a long-term relationship. Thank you for being a part of the channel, House Money. Thank you for being with us for 37 months. You've been here for 3 years. It's amazing. I appreciate all the members who can be a part of this chat and a part of the live streams, and especially the all-stars like House Money. But anyways, I liked what I see from Taylor Hendricks. It's just going to be nice this season to watch him develop and do more things. We've seen little flashes. I mean, that putback dunk was amazing. We saw the athleticism on full display. Can he get more and more confident? Can he drive to the basket? I think his handle is just as good as Markkanen's, to be honest. And we've seen it be pretty good. I mean, there's some untapped potential there with Taylor Hendricks. I don't know if he has a chance to be an extremely versatile defensive player that if he can just consistently knock down the 3, which we know he can do, then he becomes pretty darn interesting as a core piece for the future. But what we got to do is just let him develop. We'll just see what he becomes. And that's why we got to watch every game. What do you enjoy the little things? As you are walking the steps to the promised land or to the top of the hill, are you just looking at that top of the hill and only looking at that? Or are you appreciating the shape of the stone steps as you move up that hill? Thank you, Zay Frank, for that parable. Anyways, Walker Kessler had another nice night. Walker Kessler quietly having a pretty good preseason. Tonight, 4 for 4 from the field. He was able to really do a good job against Domantas Sabonis. He got injured by Sabonis last year when Sabonis tried to injure him. But Walker Kessler avoids that. He has 10 points. He was a plus 13. He really did a good job on Sabonis tonight, a.k.a. Sabonis. And he was just really, really good. That length and size, he showed what he can do. Play with toughness, rebound the ball, especially offensive rebounds, then he becomes a really nice part of the future. Look at that, 4 blocks. And that is against Sabonis, who he does a good job against. He's an undersized center. So Walker Kessler should do that. So it's nice to see Walker Kessler do what he did tonight. We're just going to watch Kessler and see what he does to develop as the season goes on, but it was nice to see. Colin Sexton led the Jazz in plus 14. He was solid tonight, 60% from the field, 50% from 3, perfect from the free throw line. He also threw in 6 assists. He played really, really well tonight. Sexton is also 2 steals. He's going to be one of those interesting players to watch as the Jazz go. What does he develop and do? But it feels like him and Keonte George have found a nice rapport. Keonte George is obviously the player that is handling those ball ball handling duties and running the offense pretty well, to be honest. But it's setting players up like Collin Sexton to succeed. Sexton just plays 24 minutes tonight. Obviously, if he plays about 36, you're probably seeing him in the 20s, and he's probably happy with that. So nice to see. Dirty Jazz Car Wash Channel, Jazz 4-1 on the preseason. Yeah, Utah's had some really nice moments this preseason. So anyways, there's not a lot to say other than that Collin Sexton has just been such an efficient offensive player. He is a very good offensive player. These three-point shots, they're not like Markkanen where they have to be catch and shoots. These are pull-up threes, catch and shoot threes. He is taking tough shots and he's making them. He's making these shots in transition. He's making them in the half court. He just does everything well offensively. He's not big. The defense is not very good, but offensively he is pretty darn nice. And that's why there's going to be a lot of teams calling the Jazz this year asking for Collin Sexton, because if he comes in and he plays sixth man and he comes in and plays 16 to 24 minutes and he puts up these types of numbers and that plus minus, I mean, there's a lot of teams that are going to want that on their squad. The Lakers may come a-calling. Do you make that trade? I don't know, but it depends on what you get back. But Utah has a nice player in Collin Sexton that is playing really nicely next to Keonte George. All right, Keonte George, he was probably the best player on the floor tonight for Utah, especially in the first half. The second half, his three-point shot, Taylor, kind of fell off, and I don't know if it's because he misses basically a couple weeks because of the injury and gets some rest. And it's crazy how quick that endurance leaves. But man, that first half he was knocking down big time shots. The second half they weren't falling quite the same, but he goes perfect from the free throw line. 24 points on 14 shots is awesome efficiency. Draws 7 free throws, just like Markkanen. Him and Markkanen are drawing fouls and getting to the line and scoring at an efficient rate. Keonte, look at that. 5 assists for Keonte George, along with 3 rebounds and 3 turnovers. He had that bad one at the end of the game, but overall, throughout the game, I felt like he really handled that ball really well. And that last turnover was pretty brutal, but it didn't cost them the game, and he'll learn from it. And it's on Key to fix those turnovers, but you know what? Sometimes in that situation, he telegraphed that pass to Sexton, which they stole. But there are elements where you need someone else on the team to come up to relieve the ball. Can Walker Kessler not run up and get a post, get a shot there and you have a dribble handoff, something like that to kind of relieve the pressure there. But anyways, Keonte George overall has been running the offense nicely, and the ball movement is there. Utah looks better offensively, and they look better defensively too. It's hard to be worse than 30th in the league, so maybe we shouldn't be surprised. But Utah has youth and athleticism all over the floor, and it's going pretty well. They're making pretty good decisions. 24 turnovers. Only 3 of them were from Keonte George, who was running the show tonight. Played 29 minutes. Him and Markkanen lead the team in minutes tonight. So nice to see. Also nice to see that Keonte George does this after coming off a pretty scary knee thing that luckily didn't turn into anything. And guess what? Grandma George was right. She said he was ready for San Antonio, and the Jazz probably rested him just for precautions, and so it was nice to see him play this one. Cody Williams showed some flashes again. I know some people are just asking about Cody Williams to do more. I think he's showing exactly why Utah should be happy with what they're seeing. He is very much a player that is not going to just impose his will, and sometimes you want to see that. You want to see that from guys in basketball in general. Get the ball and score. Can you be a little bit selfish? He showed some moments tonight, but he took only 3 shots, and he made 2 of them. One of them was a 3, but he also had 3 assists. He also had 4 rebounds. Yes, he had the 3 turnovers, and I'm sure he probably was on himself about that, but he was a +8 in this one, and it's because he plays good defense. He is long and athletic, and he was on at the end of the game. They had him in at the end of the game. When you're the coach and you want to win the game, what do? You put the players that are playing the best or that you trust the most on the floor to end the game, and that's who it was. Cody Williams was on the floor, and part of that is because defense. It's not always just offense. It's defense too, and Cody Williams absolutely has that two-way ability. You got to be happy with it, and he makes smart choices. This is his worst turnover game of the preseason. He has been really good not turning the ball over, so that was really nice to see. John Collins, yeah, the numbers don't look great here, but when we were watching the game together on playback and on the live stream for YouTube, he looked good. He's been playing well. Yes, these numbers aren't great. And so I think there is a little bit of a ceiling of what John Collins can contribute to winning. But man, he makes nice plays and he just does a lot of things. He shows a lot of toughness. There's a lot that you want to emulate with John Collins. And part of this too, this -10 was the Sabonis matchup is not very good. Sabonis is such a bruiser and just such a battering ram. And he really takes it to John Collins. But you know what was really impressive to see from John Collins? That he just kept fighting. And he had a few moments against Sabonis tonight that were nice to see. So I love John Collins. I think he's perfect for this team as a backup center because the Jazz, I think, want to play with a 5 out. You've got to have that in the modern NBA. If you have 5 guys that can shoot the ball, it is just basically becoming a requirement at this point. And so John Collins at that 5 is just nice for these players to get experience playing with a stretch 5 like that. And he plays tough. He gets rebounds in traffic. It's just fun to watch. Jordan Clarkson, his favorite thing is Jordan Clarkson when he's on the floor. He was absolutely going for the ball, and he had 6 turnovers tonight. It was actually crazy. He had a stretch there where it was crazy, and he didn't play much after certain. Well, he still played 23 minutes tonight. He had a long stretch kind of between the 20-yard lines in this game. He played a lot, but he was not on the floor to end the game, and that's because he's just not trustworthy defensively, and this turnover stuff is rough. It was just not moving. He did have some nice plays, though, and he did have 5 assists, so, you know, he finds ways to contribute, but, man, he was wild tonight. It wasn't the greatest thing. Patty Mills got 18 minutes tonight and played pretty decently. I think we're going to see more Isaiah Collier, but 18 minutes from Patty Mills. He knocked down a 3. He had a few little moments, but it was nice to see Patty Mills on the floor. He is more of a player coach at this point, but it was nice to see Patty Mills on the floor. And finally, Bryce Sensabaugh was in 3 points, played 15 minutes tonight. I don't know, guys. I just don't know with Sensabaugh if there's that it factor, and I never say never, and let's give him another season or two to kind of figure things out, but I kind of have this feeling that if someone is trying to trade with the Jazz and the Jazz have some expectations with picks and the other team says, well, then give us Bryce Sensabaugh, I think the Jazz are probably fine just trading Sensabaugh if someone really wanted him, if it was part of some sort of trade. Otherwise, I think it's okay to just develop him. But man, there's times where I just don't know. And maybe he'll figure things out and kind of put things together. He's got nice size. The idea of Bryce Sensabaugh is a lot better sometimes than the reality of Bryce Sensabaugh, right? And so you got to be careful you don't fall in love with the idea of Bryce Sensabaugh instead of the reality. That said, he did take 2 shots and hit one of them from 3. So I guess maybe I'm being a little bit hard on him. I do think that Isaiah Collier is becoming a big-time part of this Jazz team of the future. I think him at backup point guard is so nice. I agree, House Money. The same idea goes for Kessler. Like, the idea of Kessler might be better than the reality of Kessler. Because even tonight, where he played pretty nicely, he's still guarding Sabonis, who is a undersized center. You know what I mean? And Sabonis is an undersized center that plays inside. And so Kessler should dominate in a game like this. You know what I mean? Anyways, I miss seeing Isaiah Collier. Let's hope that hamstring injury isn't too bad because I would love to see him playing and getting minutes because he is a lot of fun. And I think Collier, if he can just become a average or passable 3-point shooter, becomes a really nice player for this Jazz team as like a backup point guard, 6-man type. I just love watching him play. So get better soon, Collier. We didn't see Filipowski tonight. We didn't see Johnny Juzang, and I think that's because of the defense. Will Hardy wants defensive players out there, and I think we're seeing a better defense because of guys like Cody Williams. Length and athleticism matters. And, you know, Taylor Hendricks and Cody Williams already kind of figuring it out. It's pretty impressive how Cody Williams is defending. It's pretty impressive stuff. It's the reason that someone like him is going to get more and more minutes because he's defending, and that's a big deal. All right, guys, I think that's all tonight in terms of the Jazz and the post game. We have got to talk about the lottery. My goodness, this Jazz team is getting me excited because they're showing that these players they've drafted can absolutely be paired with a superstar player. I was talking on the stream with Clint from SLC Dunk on the playback. We were just talking about the fact that Keonte George is looking absolutely like his ceiling could be a player that plays off of a superstar. And that superstar, let's hope it's Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey in this draft, or even possibly Dylan Harper. Any of those guys comes on this Jazz team, and this team gets pretty exciting pretty quickly. And then if you saw today, I retweeted it on my Twitter, but it is looking like AJ DeBonsa is going to BYU. They did a full-on BYU photo shoot with AJ DeBonsa, who is going to be the number 1 pick in 2026, because this is going to be 2025. Are you serious? The number 1 overall pick it's looking like he's going to BYU, guys. It's crazy. Crazy. Go look up AJ DeBonsa tape. There's a lot of people that would take AJ DeBonsa over Cooper Flagg this year if he came out, and he is going to BYU. That is bonkers. I guess we'll wait and see if he still chooses BYU, but he absolutely made a visit to BYU, and the pictures are there. Go look it up. If you're a BYU fan or just a Utah fan in general wanting to root for the state of Utah to get better basketball, DeBonsa going to BYU is huge. Huge. Players choosing to be here, fantastic. Absolutely. And so it makes me wonder if Ryan Smith, is there a secret plan for AJ DeBonsa? Because he's absolutely helping him with NIL to go to BYU. That's for dang sure. How cool would that be? Goes to Utah Prep, BYU, and then possibly to the Utah Jazz. Wouldn't that be just an absolute amazing turn of events? All right, let's turn on the music here. And let's do our nightly Tankathon draft. This is where we check and see what would happen if the lottery was held today. And Tankathon currently has Utah picked as the fourth worst team in the lottery odds. I have a hard time disagreeing with that because I think Utah is going to have a lot of, this ecosystem for this Jazz team falls apart real quick when you start not having certain players play. Keonte George had a monster night tonight, but if you start losing players like Markkanen or anyone to injury, things fall apart quickly. I think number 4 for Utah is absolutely in play. I think top 3, to be honest. All right, if the lottery was today and Utah was in the 4 spot, what would happen? Utah drops to 6. What a bummer. Portland jumps them. Charlotte jumps them. And Utah falls to 6. That's why Utah's got to do the best they can to get the worst record possible. All right, let's see this mock draft. Number 6 gets them the small forward Hugo Gonzalez from Spain. He's 6'6", a really interesting player. I really would hope to get at least VJ Edgecombe. Oh my gosh, would that be nice? But man, that would be a bummer. Utah falls to 6, so I got to mark that on the sheet. I accidentally kicked the power cord last show. I apologize to everyone. I was tired and I was like, you know what? It's a sign that that's the end. So number 6. Utah has gotten number 7, number 1, number 3, number 6. Let's see what that average is out so far. This is math time. Makes for a great show, right? 7 plus 1 plus 3 plus 6 equals 17 divided by 4. Utah is averaging the number 4 pick. So number 4 gets you Nolan Traore, although I'd take VJ Edgecombe at that point. He's a lot of fun. Holy cow. And he has the best nickname of everyone, the villain, VJ Edgecombe. I am happy to be the villain in Utah. Utah would probably be fine with that too if they know that VJ Edgecombe can be that good. How fun would that be? Basically like getting kind of like a Jaylen Brown is kind of what VJ Edgecombe I would compare him to. Actually, not to toot my own horn, but that's a really great comp, I think, is like a Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown's an all-star. So how cool would that be? All right, let's give a shout out to the all-stars. You guys are the ones that make things happen. I really appreciate all the members. If you want to support the channel, you can join. You can become a rookie and just be a part of the chat during live streams and the post-game show. If you want to have your own nickname and be a producer and you can join and be one of the All-Stars. Looks like our sound there went kind of bad for a second. All right, let's give a shout out to Baby Elliot Madsen, Dirty Jazz Car Wash Channel, See Ya, Alexa Later, Ryan Perry the Legend, Christian House Money to Haas, MVP tonight, the Outlaw Jesse James Nelson, Jordan the Goat Best Roll, Austin our Grant Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, and Patrick Akubo, the Connoisseur. Guys, like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure and share it with your friends. If they're a Jazz fan and they're not subscribed to this channel, what are you doing? Guys, I will talk to you next time.